right, I hit the right buttons. We're going now. I don't think they can hear us yet, though. Oh, shit. I can hear myself.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Allegiance Quest. This is what we're calling Allegiance Quest Dungeon Crawl. Basically, we were going to go live and have an adventure, but as life happens, some of our players weren't able to make it. So rather than not doing anything, we decided to go live. And this particular dungeon crawl, we will show how an encounter is set up for D&D. We know with the Mythic Legions role-playing game Kickstarter currently ongoing, there'll be a lot of people excited to learn how to play the game. So we're going to give a little example of that tonight, talk about things that we want to talk about, answer questions from the audience. I basically have a live show. So
we are dual streaming right now to both the new channel, which is Allegiance Quest, all one word, and to the Off-World channel. But this will be the last one that is on the Off-World channel. So right now I see Dylan, Fate Hammer, Freaks, and Mini Pete. You guys are all on the old channel. If you could please hop over to the new channel, once again, at Allegiance Quest, all one word. That would be great. And if you could throw us a subscribe, that'd be awesome as well. So
yes, we would very, very much appreciate
and Kai that. And J Mac. Yeah. Any of you guys over there on the Off-World channel, that channel's a piece of shit, and nobody should ever watch anything over there. So unless you're watching the reruns of Allegiance Quest.
Yeah. Absolutely. Bill didn't get a link.
Oh, still nobody sent him one?
Oh no.
I thought you guys were doing it.
Oh, okay.
I thought Joe was doing it. I'm sorry.
I thought one of you guys would do it. I don't do anything on this. What are you guys talking about? I barely even run an adventure.
That's why I was like, all right, he's going to spread his wings and run a little bit. I was like, all right.
My bad. Sorry, Bill. My bad.
The Toy Forge is on the Off-World channel. So if you guys could switch over to the Allegiance Quest channel, that would be awesome. So,
for the record, if you see Toy Forge commenting, both Anthony and Tony are watching tonight. So I'm going to remember to keep my dialogue a little clean tonight.
Tony was not happy that Joe ended our last session right before a big fight. So,
yeah. I mean, that's completely understandable.
That.
In the biz, we call that a cliffhanger. The idea is that you come back to watch the next episode because you want to know what's going to happen. So,
gotcha.
It was definitely nothing personal. I wasn't like, oh, these guys are watching, I'll just stick it to them. No. I wanted you to come back and watch the next episode, which was going to be tonight, but because we're not able to, it'll be next time. So it's a cliffhanger. 2 cliffs, double cliffs.
There you go.
I do want to say this will be the last episode, and this is for anybody watching on the replay too. This will be the last episode of Allegiance Quest that is put on the Off-World channel. We are completely separating the two. Allegiance Quest will be moving over to Allegiance Quest channel on YouTube. So we definitely would appreciate if you guys would keep following us over there. And this way, with it being separated, we can do more things like this because it'll be mostly a role-playing channel. So we will be able to go live and talk about RPGs and answer questions about them and talk about our characters, maybe have a level up episode or two, a lot more information about role-playing games. So those of you that are interested in it will have a resource, a half-assed resource to come and check on things.
And that way, if we've got a week that for some reason somebody can't make it and we can't actually run a session, we can still pop on and talk about other things RPG related. So
absolutely. Maybe get a side quest going. I know, if I can't make it or something, maybe Jesse could run a side quest for you guys. Legion's Quest side quest. That sounds good. got a ring to it.
And I'm excited because Joe said he's going to kind of walk us through how to put together an encounter, which I've actually never seen because I've never worked as a GM or DM or any kind of M's.
Yes.
So I'm excited to see what that looks like.
All right. Well, I think this is going to be a good resource for everybody. I'm going to be using D&D Beyond for the visuals, but as I walk you through it, and
did still nobody send Bill the link?
Okay. You're taking care of that now, Curtis?
I guess so. I got to log into Facebook.
Okay. Well, I would have to too, and I was in the middle of talking. I was gonna.
I got it.
Okay.
I thought Jesse was.
I'm not doing anything.
Clearly,
I'm still not doing anything.
No, none of us are doing the thing.
I'm sorry,
we
Bill.
Are not doing the thing. Yes, we'll apologize profusely.
Dylan, this is a family show. That does not happen here.
Keep it PG-13, buddy.
That's right. Right.
He's quelling the quest.
All right.
Partner, you know what time it is.
Link is out there, Bill.
All right.
What about Zelda?
I'm sorry. Well, while Joe gets his thing ready, let me shout out the folks that are out there. We got Jeremy Govier. We've got Kirby, Dub3. I'll pull Bill on screen so that he doesn't just sit back there while you guys do nothing.
Sorry about that, Bill.
I did that. I pulled Bill on screen.
William,
I did something.
No, you did not pull him on screen. Darla's here.
I hit
over there. I
hit add. I hit add.
Dylan is here. We've got Jen, Lucky Sprinkles. We've got Fate Hammer, Freaks Figures, Mini Pete. Ty is here. JMax77, Guaisagway. Bill is here on the screen and in the chat. He's got the link now. We've got Anthony and Tony here. And scrolling. We have Ryan Colwell, Psycho Ed. Hey, Trevor's here. Patrick Boyle, Toy Butter, Sub-Zero, and that is everybody. So once again, for anybody joining us late, we are currently dual streaming on the Let's Go Off-World channel as well as the A Legion's Quest channel, as you see there at the bottom of the screen. This will be the last one that's on the Off-World channel. So if any of you that are watching over there could hop over to the new channel, A Legion's Quest on YouTube, subscribe. That'll be where any new content will be coming from this point forward. So,
yep. It'll be, a Legion's Quest, of course, the main adventure. I like this dungeon crawl idea where we'll, show a little behind the scenes of GMing and playing characters, and people can ask questions, and we'll probably answer them, which we will not do when we're doing the actual game sessions.
We will answer them, unlike when Bill asks us to send a link and we don't answer him. So
we are bad with questions just in general. Yeah. So
Chris jumped in as well.
Why?
And Alan. So welcome.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right. What do we got going on today, Joe?
Great. Okay. Well, I will start with, I got my screen brought up, and what I'm going to start with, and again, I'm going to be.
Did you get a t-shirt? The Four Horsemen dice t-shirt. Did you get one of these yet?
I don't think so. When is that from recent, or is that from Legion's?
It was at ZoloCon. I didn't know.
No, I don't.
I know
no,
sometimes.
I that one.
All right, that I have one for you, and I got one for Joe, and I got one for Curtis, and I got one for Nate, and I think Trevor already got one. Sorry,
Thank you.
sorry, Joe.
Thank you, Justin.
Anthony says, "Be sure to unsubscribe to Off-World and subscribe to Legion's Quest." No, that's perfectly fine. That is what I would totally encourage people to do. So.
if by some odd, life choices or sensibilities you enjoy Off-World, please continue watching Off-World. We do go live every Friday night with that, but it is not RPG centric. That show,
and it's not safe for work or home or really anywhere. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
All of that is accurate. So
we have been known
I
to
don't think
offend a
it's
few
anything
people.
centric.
So
on to occasion. Yes. So
gee, I wish that was true.
All right. So we can go ahead and I will pull this up right now. How are you doing, Bill?
Good. Doing good.
All right. Oh,
Ready for some cold weather. It's
Thank
gonna be
you.
cold again here.
Thank you, Mrs. Allen.
Shannon,
yes.
that's his wife.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, ran over to tell him we were on.
Excellent. That's the kind of support we need for Legion's Quest.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with you, Bill. I actually, my local weather is going to be up into the 80s this week. So
Let me make this.
it is going to be
So
toasty here.
Yeah.
so that we're not
But
covering up Bill's face.
but I enjoy that. So.
There we go.
All right.
Yeah,
So
we went from like 60 degrees today, and it's going to be like 20 tomorrow, low.
Same
wow.
here.
I'll think about you guys when I'm in a t-shirt tomorrow.
I'll be in a t-shirt tomorrow, but
I'll be thinking of you when I'm not getting red dust all over off my figures, Joe.
What? Oh, so you guys can't see my pointer?
Yes, we can now.
Right. Okay. Jan now? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So this is the monster, like if you're using D&D Beyond, which is the one actually owned by Wizards of the Coast. This is the setup for that. It's not necessary though, so I'm going to go about this, and this is our visual cue for what we're doing here, for what monsters we're using and stuff. But if you have monsters in a different way, if you're using the monster manual from Dungeons and Dragons or the monsters out of the book in the upcoming Mythic Legions RPG, it'll all work the same. I'll explain it in a way that makes sense. Yes, Curtis, go ahead.
Before we get into the encounter and stuff, you want to explain kind of what a VTT is, what D&D Beyond, what it does before we get into that?
Well, a VTT is a virtual tabletop. It's basically a way, not basically, it is a way for people to get together online and play, and the tools are provided as a resource. So I buy the D&D books, for example, and set up my campaign on D&D Beyond, and then I'm able to share my books with the rest of you, the players, so that we can all work together on the same platform. We can see each other, we can share maps, all those kinds of things that allow us. It's kind of like a virtual way to play in person. So you're not in person, but it's kind of like playing in person. So that is definitely the basic rundown for it.
Awesome. Thank you.
So yeah, you betcha. So getting into it here, the most important thing I think of creating these encounters is this right here. All monsters in the monster manual have a CR, which is a challenge rating. You can see like 0, 1/4, 4, 1/8, and it's basically what the challenge will be for a party of 4 characters at that level. So like a 1/4 means for the Aarakocra here, 4 of them would be a challenge for a first level party, you know. The Demogorgon would be a challenge for 4 8th level characters. So that's kind of the basic breakdown. It doesn't always work out that way because dice are a part of it. There's been a few times that I have put together encounters that have been more challenging than I expected them to be, just because the dice didn't go the way that, you know, we would prefer. But then there's been times that the encounter should have been far more deadly than it was, because the dice then went the player's favor. So this is just a basic estimation of how that kind of goes, you know. Am I coming through okay? My internet's a little choppy on my end,
It's a
but
little
you guys
choppy,
are hearing me
yeah.
all right?
But yeah, not too bad.
Curtis, you're
Okay.
muted.
It's a little choppy, but it's not terrible.
Okay. So I'm going to go into the search bar. I'm just going to put together what I would do as a first level encounter. So I'm going to put in skeleton. Let's say I set up my encounter. The idea that I have, the party is going to be attacked by skeletons in a tavern. So we'll put it together that way. So if I want to look through, right here, highlighted in red, is the regular, just basic skeleton. That's what I'm going to go with for this. They are a 1/4 encounter. So for a group of first level characters, I want to put at least 4. With my style of gaming, I'll put 5, which the
Makes sense now.
D&D Beyond system. Yeah, the D&D Beyond system would call that a deadly encounter, but I disagree. If the characters have their shit together, they'll be all right. So as I add them, and this is one thing that's nice with Beyond. There's this bar here on the side. And I don't know if this is the only VTT that I've ever used, but as you add creatures to it, it'll now the Legion's Quest characters are a group of 6th level characters.
Yes.
Yeah. So 5 6th level characters. So 4 skeletons, they could kill them in their sleep. So the bar won't really move much. But then as I add them, they appear over here on the side. So just to name my encounter, I'll just name it You Don't Deserve Treasure. We've talked about this, Trevor. So and that might be a point of conversation that we could talk about afterwards too, because the way 5th edition is set up, your characters, the way that they scale, they get so powerful so quickly. It's not like playing a video game. You don't need a bunch of treasure to be powerful. You guys are 6th level, you hardly have any treasure. And the last encounter I ran, that one with Azahazar, a group of 5 5th level characters took out a CR 8 encounter, no sweat. So
It's because we're good.
I mean, but that's part of it.
In fairness, we were gifted a house. We're just paying to renovate it. So
right.
I can't tell if we lost Joe or if he's just thinking.
I see him moving a little bit. Oh, maybe he's frozen now.
We're gonna pretend he's thinking.
Holy moly!
Here, let's put me down at the bottom. I can have my face covered. That's fine.
I don't care either.
I do.
Yeah, we don't want to cover up Bill's face. That's the money shot.
Let's see here. So you can see now I've created the encounter. It has 4 skeletons in there. I think 1, 2, 3. Did I only add 3?
Looks like it.
Well, we'll find out. Then I click run and counter. So, all right. So here we have the skeletons and the players. We would normally the players would roll for their own initiative. I'll just auto roll for this one.
Can like so when we normally roll, does it pop up on there for you to see? Joe? Nothing. Having Joe share
most of the time, yes. Okay, am I back? Maybe.
Kind of.
Maybe.
Yeah. It's really lagging.
I'm going to drop off and come back on. Can you guys entertain for a moment?
Sure. Absolutely.
See if I can.
While he does that, I'll just pull up my screen and kind of show you. This is what like a character sheet looks like. So you've got, your name and kind of profile pic up at the top. Actually, let me close this. Let me open it up with Windows so you can see my cursor. All right. So you got your profile kind of up here in the corner. You've then got kind of your main stats, your strength, dexterity, constitution, intelligence, wisdom, charisma. Down here, you've got a bunch of kind of like checks that you could do. So if Joe was to say, hey, I need, let me zoom in a little bit there so you can see it better. If Joe said, I need you to give me an acrobatics check, you would just click on here and it's going to roll the die and it's going to tell you what that is. You see, I rolled an 11, but I've got a +1, so it gives me a 12. So that would be my acrobatics check. And you can do that for all the ones down here in the middle. You can also do that for the stuff up top. So if he said like, give me a strength check, I could click this. I rolled a 14. I've got a +7 modifier, so it gives me a 21. So a lot of this stuff, you just kind of click on it. Same thing when he was asking for initiative, you just click on this and it's going to roll it. So a lot of this is just kind of very, it's going to already pick the die that you're supposed to use and do that whenever you click on it. When we're actually like fighting, so like this is kind of your attack screen. So if I go to make an attack against one of those skeletons, I would do the hit first. So I would click on this. This one rolled a 17. So that is a 9 plus 8. So it's 17. And then Joe would tell me whether that hits or not. If it hits, then I would go to my damage and it's already kind of calculated here. So I just click this and it's going to roll however many die it needs to roll. And it's going to tell me the damage is 15. So, and then that's kind of how that works. So all of this stuff within D&D Beyond is very kind of intuitive and just lets you kind of do it without having to think how many die you're supposed to roll and what types they are and this and that. But if you do need to do a specific like roll, like let's say he told me I needed to roll a couple, D6s for something, you can click down here. Let me take this off so you can see where I'm at. You can click down here in the bottom corner and it's going to pull up all the different type of dice that you can pick. And then I can so if I wanted 2 D6s, I would click on this twice and then I could roll it and it's going to do that. 2 natural ones.
And roll double ones. Yeah.
So snake eyes.
Yeah. So that's kind of how that works within the player character screen. So, and then I will take that off and we'll see if Joe's able to do what he needs to do without lagging. So also
it seems okay right now, but
also Joe, what's a Muffy Bear?
Oh, you guys talked about that?
I
don't
didn't
know. Curtis, you tell me, buddy.
I didn't. I don't know where he got it from.
We'll tell the little story. We got time. I ordered some Kaiser stands online, and they sent a little list of like what number stands, because I think have changed their nomenclature of what numbers go to what size stands. So just this little list, and for the size that I bought, which I use on Mythic Legions, the 2001 size, it says Alexander and Guinea and Muffy Bears. And I did not search what Muffy Bears was because I was afraid of what I might find.
It was on my search bar when I was sharing the screen. That's where he got it from. Yeah.
That Curtis is a braver man than myself.
Yeah.
Curtis is a braver man. He looked up Muffy Bears, and turns out it's actually just bears. So
yeah, like Beanie Babies, kind of.
All right.
What are these stands? Kaiser stands?
Yeah, they're the ones that he normally
Kaiser
uses
stands,
for action figures. They're like the wire.
They're metal stands with a waist clip.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Beauty. He's lagging again.
All right. Let's see if this works. So as soon as I try to share it, it starts lagging. Should I just talk instead of having the visual?
Yeah, it might be better.
Or should we try it again one more time?
It might be better to just talk about it.
Well, let's try it.
Okay.
And see if it starts lagging really bad. I'll take it off of there.
Okay. It updated my initiative.
All right. Well, this just
rolled
the visual aid shows the initiative for the heroes. It what?
It's all right. You're on like a 15-second delay.
Okay. when I click start, you can see. Wow, that's great. I'll show this initiative thing, and then I can take it down and just talk from there. So here you can see, skeleton. One of the skeletons rolled the highest initiative. He's going first with a 21. And then Trevor's wizard, Bill's dwarf, Jesse with Cam. There's the next skeleton. So everybody rolls an initiative, and then you place them in order of highest to lowest on initiative. So if you rolled a very low initiative like Graddock with a 2, he's going to be going last because he has the lowest initiative score. So initiative goes, from that. All right. I'm going to go ahead and take this down and just talk.
Cool.
So that way, hopefully it won't, for whatever reason, as much money as I pay, it shouldn't be bogging down my internet at all. But for some reason today it is. But then, whether you're playing at, and there's a lot of different ways. Sometimes we'll have, for like, if you watched Legion's Quest before, there'll be a map that I'll put together before knowing what encounters I have planned. I'll put together a battle map, which is equal to basically 1-inch squares that you would put miniatures on. I put the monsters on there. On this one, for an example, if during the night the skeletons came into the inn, to the tavern area, I would have them placed about the tavern where the heroes come down the stairs and discover that skeletons have invaded the tavern. So I would place all the heroes at the bottom of the stairs. If you want to put that
on there, I can pull it up on my screen. That way they can see kind of what that looks like, and it hopefully doesn't bog you down. So
let's see.
But this is just one avenue for people to play remotely.
Yeah, I can do that. Give me just a moment.
You could do a bunch of different things. So you could, right now we're playing through StreamYard, but you could play through, Skype or whatever. You could have whoever's running it, or somebody just kind of have like once the Mythic role playing game comes out, you could have somebody with the map and have the little standees or whatever on it, and have them moving around and that kind of thing. There's other ways you can do it remotely.
On Roll20, you don't have it's generic enough that you can create your character sheets and manually put everything in, and the DMs can make their own maps and everything. So Roll20 is a decent. It's one of the only other ones I have personal experience with, where you can do stuff, and it's got integrated cameras for the players and stuff all in that website. It does have nice. A monthly subscription and how many players and different things. So research it. Just look up virtual tabletops.
Right. And
Teams, FaceTime. Yeah. I don't know, whatever. I'm old.
Any video call that you could do, you could play together, because there's
Curtis on the party line through AT&T.
There you go.
We're calling it, we're showing maps here, but honestly, with my own personal group that I've been playing with, over 20 years, we play mostly theater of the mind, because setting up maps is a huge pain in the butt in person, digging out minis and populating the map. And on this one, I can hide the maps until they're appropriate. When people are playing at your house, it's kind of hard to hide a map. And then I don't want to stop for 20 minutes, unless we plan for a lunch break at a certain time or something, maybe to set up. Anyways, we play mostly theater of the mind because it's just more convenient, to do so. I think you're muted again, Curtis.
It doesn't look like it. Am I?
Oh, no, now you're not.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was funny at Legion's Con when we were playing the Mythic role-playing game, because we had the map in front of us, he couldn't physically hide the map. And so we kept saying, okay, or are we here? And he's like, no, you're not on the map yet. Just shut up about the map.
Right. It is kind of a pain if you're trying to, have if you're wanting to have a surprise encounter where the players are not expecting the encounter to happen, and it's set up in a ballroom. When the characters all walk into the ballroom, they're going to have a pretty good idea what's going to happen if you have a map out of a ballroom. So, it's just one of those things. We call it the meta. Sometimes you have to just pretend you don't know things. Your character doesn't know things. The player might, but the character doesn't. That kind of a thing.
Lowercase meta. We're not copyright infringing on that corporation.
There was no red hair involved. So, yeah, I think we should be all right. But anyways, looking at the map here. So, we have all the skeletons. This is how they would be scattered around, They wandered into the tavern during the night. The heroes just came down the stairs to discover them. So we have our initiative order. The highest initiative was Skeleton D with a 21. So he would go first. So this skeleton would get to move.
Which that's also something that we learned in this, is that if you're going to have multiple of the same minion, it's good to give them some sort of identifier.
Yeah, especially for online, for using a VTT, because I would forget which ones they had attacked and which ones were where. That might be more of a Joe problem. I think a game master that had his shit together better than I did might be able to keep track of that mentally. But myself, I need the assistance of A, B, C, and D being on the board to keep track of what skeletons have been attacked and stuff. So
let me address this real quick, Joe. Sure. Gluten Freestyle says, so Let's Go Off-World channel being discontinued. No, it's just we're taking the role-playing stuff off of that channel and have created its own channel for that. So the Off-World channel will still be there. but it's for the show on Friday nights that I encourage people not to watch. So
right.
Yeah.
Agreed. So, so Skeleton D has the highest initiative. He gets his movement. He can move 30 feet. Each of these squares, these 1-inch squares on here, is 5 feet of movement. So 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. That would be his movement. Now he's not close enough to melee attack. Melee is attacking in person, like with a sword or a spear or something like that. But if he had a ranged weapon like a crossbow, he could pull out his crossbow and take a shot at one of the player characters right now. Then next up would be Einsek, which is one of the heroic characters. I'm not speaking for Trevor. This is just an example of what might happen. But since Einsek is a caster, he's not going to want to get into melee combat with anything. He's going to want to leave the beefy characters up front to deal with damage. So he might retreat up the stairs as part of his movement and then cast a spell. We'll say Magic Missile. Because Magic Missile is a pretty great first level spell. It's a guaranteed hit. You don't have to roll to hit. You don't. The enemies don't get a save against the damage. So that Einsek would have hidden behind the table. See, that's solid. That is solid. So then he would cast his spell, do his damage. Then on my character record sheet for the monsters, I subtract that from the total. For this example, we'll say probably wouldn't do enough damage to destroy it since it hasn't been injured yet. Its turn is over. His turn is over. You move to the next person, which would be Dagmir Collarcleave, run by our own Bill. So,
question, Joe, because I don't need you to pull it up, but like when that happens, like let's say that Einsek did, 10 points of damage or something, are you manually having to do those calculations or can you like plug that in there and it deducts it from the minion and kind of keeps track of it?
So the way that D&D Beyond is set up, I just click on it and it'll have a place to put in the number. So I'll put in 10 and then it'll say add or subtract.
Okay.
On my end. So then I subtract the 10 and it calculates that damage in. And then when they start getting below half, the little picture that's with them turn red to kind of give you an idea that like, hey, this character is being wounded. Like on mine right now, Pam is below half, so her portrait has red on it so that I can see that she's been injured, which is handy too, from a DM perspective. So a lot of times you don't know where your characters are, where your players are at, and it, depending on the type of game master you are, it can feel bad to like, okay, well, I do 12 points of damage, and they're like, well, I'm dead, and you had no idea that they were even close.
Killed a half-orc in the kitchen by a shapeshifter.
That was intentional, but on a normal circumstance, that you want to know where characters are at, even if it's just to be like, hey, this person is looking pretty injured, so that the rest of the party knows things like that. So, all right. So, Bill, we'll say that Dagmir is up next. Do you want to handle your movement on that? What you want to do next?
Character up here. Hang on a second.
Well, you could even just tell me, and we're just kind of doing a virtual.
So I would go right into the fight, and hold on, let me zoom in here. Where am I? Down here?
Right below Cam.
One.
And near the food, if that's important to you.
Yeah,
it's mostly important to Braddock.
I might go down, knowing that Braddock is closer to D. I might run down after Skeleton A since I'm within range and attack A down at the bottom there.
All right, so Dagmir would take his movement, counting his squares. He ain't got time to go around tables, so he's just going to jump on the table. So now, jumping on the table to make sure that he has enough movement to get to where Skeleton A is, depending on the circumstance, might require an athletics check, which Dagmir's gonna, is very strong, so he's gonna have a good athletics check. And that's kind of how you would introduce like a skill check into combat like that. So he's jumping up on the table. Do you want to just roll a d20, Bill, just to represent that?
Hang on a second. Let me.
Yeah, no problem.
I'll twist it around because the new setup. Okay, so what am I rolling? A athletics?
Just an athletics check. Yeah.
Boom. Did it show up?
It showed up on mine. It didn't roll the dice on the map, which is disappointing. I was expecting that. But anyway, so Dagmar rolled a 26. You assign, as the game master, you assign difficulty to things. Because he's a dwarf, he's a little bit shorter, jumping up on a human-sized table, I'd probably set that difficulty at like 12. And this is one of the rules that goes way back in gaming. It can be tempting to say no, that somebody can't do something. My group and the way that I learned to play was don't say no, assign difficulty. So Dagmar is jumping up on a table. I'd set that difficulty at like a 12. If he was a human, it would probably be a 10.
And since I rolled a natural 20, you have to put a little DM pizzazz onto your description of how it.
Right, and that could be great too. You rolled a natural 20, so you dive onto the table, do a roll, and come up on the other side with your weapons drawn, ready to fight Skeleton A. And that's always a nice little fun bit of flair to add into things. But let's say you're jumping across a 20-foot chasm. A dwarf jumping a 20-foot chasm seems really unlikely. But again, don't say no, assign difficulty. Maybe you set that at a 25 or a 30, because most likely you're going to plummet down into that chasm and fail spectacularly. But Bill rolled a natural 20, and it can be really fun, to try and come up with a quick way to describe something like that happen. Like Dagmar leaps out over the chasm, makes it about 15 feet, and a seagull just happens to be flying by, springing off of the seagull's back. You're able to clear the other 15 feet, grab onto the other side just barely by the tip of your fingers, and pull yourself up. So that's why I say don't say no, assign difficulty, because there can be some really, really fun things that can happen and that are memorable in your games. So anyways, Dagmar dives, rolls over the table, comes up with his axe, ready to chop down a skeleton. Yes, Trevor, the seagull might have died in that situation. I mean, that's sad, but there's always more seagulls.
Stop it now.
So, now it doesn't add to the kill count. Yeah, I don't think that's a normal thing. Curtis started that, the kill count thing. I'm not a giant fan of that, but I suppose it can be fun on occasion. Yeah, there we go. So,
well, it's because you're a medium-sized creature.
I'd like to just note that I came into this much
like 20 episodes in. Yeah, definitely. So at this point, Dagmar would make an attack roll at the skeleton. We're assuming that this is a first level encounter. He would make one attack, hit or miss, resolve his damage, and then move on to the next person in the initiative bar, I guess, initiative order, and that would be Cam. So, and then Jesse is running Cam. Jesse would make a decision where he wanted Cam to go from this point. Any preferences there, Jesse?
Or are you asking?
Yeah, just.
I mean, Cam, being a ranger, has a ranged weapon, so she could take her choice and just start picking off enemies. So she would go after probably whoever is already under attack to aid in taking them down faster.
Right. So probably skeleton D, right? Because it's already taken damage from Einzig. Sure. Yeah, something.
And
like
if I
that.
would need to, if I would need to back up, if I'm too close, proximity, I would back up if I needed to.
Okay.
But I think that's at least 10 or 15 feet. Shouldn't be a problem for range.
Yeah. As long as they're not in melee, the rules. If you're attempting to make a melee attack or a ranged attack when someone is within melee to you, that's disadvantage. But that's all it says. So as long as they're not within 5 feet of you, you're okay. As far as like, and different GMs have a different style. Fur and Gradic, are in front of Cam. Some GMs might say that they're a barrier. I feel like that's just semantics. We're playing a game, it's not worth adding the extra difficulties, to something that we're doing. So I would say that Cam was fine to attack, but the game masters have the final say. A different game master might say, well, they're in your way. You might have to move to be able to shoot around them or something like that. So, but that's the basics of it. And then you just keep going until all the enemies are dead or all the heroes are dead.
So like one thing that's come
I built
up
this map on.
I was going to say one of the things that's come up like on ours, where somebody would say, would this table provide me cover? And Joe will say like, well, not the way it is now, but if you want to, flip it over, then yeah, you can have it provide you cover and that kind of thing. So that would then you would have to use that part of your turn to do that, right?
Right. And it usually causes you to give up actions. There's an action economy to the game. Good question. So the action economy is you get your attack action, you get a move action, and then what's the third one called? I'm drawing a blank all of a sudden. Your bonus action. Sorry. So, depending on what they are, some game masters would say, oh, flipping a table is a bonus action. Some would say that it's a standard, an attack action. So flipping the table, you might not be able to attack for a round because you're setting yourself up in a defensive position. It just depends, on the situation and what your preferences as a game master is. For me, something like this is a wooden table. It's going to provide some cover, but not like full cover. So a wooden table, I might allow a bonus action to flip it because it's something really easy to do. You could flip it with your elbow while you're still holding a weapon. But if they were stone tables and you wanted to flip up a stone table, that is a lot heavier and would provide a lot more cover, that might be a standard or an attack action, to be able to do that. So, one character might be flipping that table for somebody else to jump behind and attack on their turn, things like that. So
cool.
Mm-hmm.
Remove this.
No, Dusty, I'm not going to put my toes in my mouth.
Yeah,
that was last night only.
So, as we get ready for this mythic role-playing game and stuff, I know one of the things that people have had some concern about is that they don't have experience with this kind of thing. And as a player, that may not give them a whole lot of concern, but if they don't have anybody that's experienced with GMing it, that becomes a little bit more worrisome. So if somebody's doing that, like what about the role-playing side of it? Not, we've already kind of talked about the combat side, but like actually creating the role-playing story type thing, like any tips or things that would go with that?
Yeah, absolutely. My biggest tip is plagiarism. If you're new,
okay,
steal somebody else's work. I mean, you're not your average player isn't going to be putting their work online. You know what I mean? Online, like what we're doing. If you're just playing
anything, you're just playing, yeah.
Right. So if you're just playing with a group of friends, plagiarize stuff. I know I was playing in a game one time and we're getting into it and we're in the desert, and then it turns out that the prince of the kingdom, was possessed by a demonic spirit, and I'm going, am I in Diablo 3? And the light bulb kind of went on, and then I started paying attention, and yeah, my friend had just taken the story from Diablo 3, and some of the names have been changed to protect the innocents, but like it was basically the story for Diablo, and it ended up being a lot of fun.
Cool.
You don't need to be an expert if you're not putting on a show. We're putting on a show, so we tried to keep a fair amount of movement, during our shows. But if you're just playing the game, stopping for a couple minutes to look up a rule or double check what an ability does and things like that, there's nothing to it. The more you do it, and that's one of the things, if you go back and watch the totality of Allegiance Quest, in the beginning, there was a lot of, well, can my character do this or that? Or what does this ability do? How does this spell work? There's almost none of that now, because, the more that you do it, the more familiar you get with it. But yeah, I would recommend people just watch something, Allegiance Quest, or some of the, you could even watch some of the high-end games that are played by professionals and things like that, just get a general idea of what's going on, and then just take ideas. If there's a particular series of medieval style novels that you like, or a video game that you've played, just borrow ideas from it. As you do it more and more, then you'll get more comfortable with doing it yourself, and then you won't need to steal ideas from other things. You'll have an idea of how everything works, or keep stealing ideas. Who cares? But once you got a good feel for everything, how the rules work and everything like that, you can just do your own thing.
Another thing that we had early on was some infighting amongst our group. I don't know if you want to kind of talk to some of that, like, what your goals should be and alignments and that kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. For me, and again, this will depend a lot on your game master and what their style is. I think I told you guys towards the beginning, Bill, you probably missed this, but my advice at the very beginning of the game was fight together or die alone. I'm not going to pull punches in combat. If you're not helping each other out, then you're just asking to lose. And, that's my particular style. I think that from a player character perspective, the only people that you guys can trust was a few years ago. The only people that you guys can trust, the players, is each other, because everyone else in the world is controlled by me, and you can't trust me. That's how it is. I'm all of the bad guys. If I want your best friend to betray you, I can do that. If all of a sudden I want a character to be possessed by a magical spirit, I can do that. But you know that you can trust each other, or at least I feel like you should be able to. And it's like any video game or board game or anything like that. You have a better chance of success when you're working together. So that's my advice. Different GMs might have different feelings on that. That's kind of an individual thing. But yeah, if I can get you guys separated and catch a character off on his own in the kitchen, and yes, I absolutely am. If I can catch a character off on his own in the kitchen and throw in a couple doppelgangers to, light him up while he doesn't have backup, man, I'm totally going to do that. So
very cool.
Yeah.
I mean, you could do a lot of things with it. I mean, you couldn't make Henry bad. Like, he's a good boy. So
I totally could, though. I could totally say that Henry is possessed by a demon, and Henry totally steps on your toe, which, if anybody's ever had their toe stepped on by a donkey, it hurts a lot.
Yeah,
so,
I imagine that's not good.
No, it's uncomfortable. So, yeah.
All right. Anything, obviously we've got the Kickstarter going on right now. A lot of things going on with that. Anything related to the Kickstarter you guys want to talk about, or?
I just can't wait for some official content. You know, I've been going in and taking monsters from D&D and doing my best to, you know, mythic legionsify them so that, you know, they're appropriate for the setting. But that is a lot of extra work, and it's going to be super fun to, you know, if I want to have a Terpiculi fight you guys, that I'm going to have one statted out and totally be able to throw in there. So that means I need to get the beginner's box, you know, make sure I get the beginner's box and not just the core rule book, so I can get those cool monster cards to have a quick reference.
Absolutely. 870,651 right now. 2,203 backers. So
hell yeah, we are killing it. Keep it coming. Yeah.
So a lot of things unlocked. As kind of a lifelong gamer, RPG gamer for you and Jesse, what are some of the things, you know, obviously the figures are great, but what are some things in here that really kind of geeks you out about the campaign from an RPG standpoint?
You want to go first, Jesse? I've been talking a lot.
Yeah. For me, first and foremost, and it's as a game player, but also as a Mythic Legions fan, the thing right there, hidden behind the book, the map, that is the biggest thing. I'm trying not to look at it too much now because I want to wait until I have the physical copy to just pour over. Like I love maps, and knowing that there's going to be more names and towns and things on here than we already have, it just makes me really excited, because then, you know, as someone who likes to write and tell stories, like it would help for whenever I do, you know, GM sessions, you know, you can be like, oh, there's a name there, there's a name there, and you can just start spiraling out stories and different things. So I've never done rock climbing, so this is probably not a good analogy, but it's like those things where, you know, you've got like the handholds and stuff. So having more of that, there's a lot more to use to grab and plan your way out when you're if you need to pivot or, you know, plan on the fly if your players go not off script, because there's no script, but if they don't go on the path you expect them to. And I think that's really cool. And one thing I want to remind everybody, that if you are a longtime player, I mean, this is not going to be the end all be all book for the world of Mythos. Like they've said multiple times, there's more stuff. This is just the entry point. So you may not get everything you want from Mythos in this book, but they know, and there's more coming. So, I mean, that's cool. I think the designs of the 3D, or the 3D designs they shared today of the minis, I forget the artist's name already, that they posted as kind of like the artist spotlight. I thought those looked really cool.
I don't remember his name, but he's from Portugal, and that made me excited. So
yes,
my nationality, because that's my nationality.
I thought you were Mexican.
Nobody thinks that.
I will say, I think the minis look great because they look like classic D&D, like, or table, just not specifically D&D, but just like RPG posed figures, but they look like Mythic Legions characters. You know, they've got to punch up some of the details. You know, they wouldn't scale properly because it's so small, but you know, I think it's really cool to see the characters we know as action figures being put into those more static poses, but they're expressive, you know, with their gestures and all that side. Those things have me really excited. And the coins, I'll say this, I think the coins are really cool. You know, I don't like that they're metal, because I hate touching metal coins and stuff in real life. But as a collector, I think it's a really cool add-on to be able to, like, if you're sitting down, if you get to play in person, you can drop your pouch down on the table, you can hear the coin clink and feel the weight of it, and, you know, like, all right, I'm going to pay. Here's a golden lion for the room for tonight, or whatever, you know, and like you can get into some physical levels of role play, you know, at the table. I think that's going to be a really cool extra little feature.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Bill, what about you? And what besides the figures, what are you most excited for on here?
The book itself, the core rule book, is to me like what this whole thing is about. And I kind of, when I see people wanting to explore and learn how to play this game, and they're like seeking, ways to get into it right now, I kind of think like even just picking up the 2014 D&D Player's Handbook and just kind of learning a little bit, like pick your favorite, um, you know, class and read up on it, read spells, like just kind of like read up on stuff is like a great way. And just like that's kind of what I'm excited about for this game, is just having that book in hand and just like diving in and just learning all about it. So that, to me, like that's all you need. That and some dice. Like if you wanted to play, like that's all you really need. Obviously the beginner box is going to be a better option for like playing it the first time ever, because it's going to have a campaign. It's going to have the dice with it. It's going to have miniatures and like a map and stuff. But ultimately, like when it comes down to an RPG, the RPG is the book and the information in the book.
Gotcha. Joe?
Yeah, I agree with Bill 100%. I'm most excited for the core rule book. I want to just dig through that thing and look into the classes and locations and information and just see all the goodies that they put in there for us. It's 5e, so we know the system, but if there's unique subclasses that the professions can have that are completely new to this game, I want to check them out and see what's going on there and what new information,
the factions, right?
Yeah,
like that whole system that's new.
Yep. Basically all the new information that make it Mythic Legions. That's what I'm the most excited about. Right down to they mentioned holidays, they mentioned phases of the moon. These are all things that are great world building. Like adding even, saying I pay a certain amount of golden lions instead of just saying I pay a certain amount of gold pieces. That builds the world. That makes it feel different and in my opinion a bit more realistic and lived in. So I can't wait to add some more of those things to our game for sure.
I would say for me, obviously the stuff you guys mentioned is great. I love these dice. Like I think the Necro ones are cool. The ones that come with the figures are cool. I love this set here. I think it's just really awesome looking. I can't wait to get these.
I do have a set of those, not those specific, but a set of the floating dice, and they are really, really cool. I like them a lot.
Yeah, and then like Jesse is saying, I really like the coins. I think it's going to be cool for the game. Like he said, like if you're going to the inn and you can kind of throw one of these down or something. But I think just in general, as a Legions fan, this is cool. And even just as like somebody that watched a lot of like sword and sorcery kind of movies growing up and stuff, just having a bag of coins, like just the feel of it. Like I can't wait to just have a bag of coins. It's gonna be awesome.
And depending on where you're from, like I noticed that the gray vein copper and the platinum stag have holes in them. People from that region might carry their coins on a string as opposed to keeping them in a coin purse, some stuff like that. We don't want to talk about where goblins might keep their coins, but it's nice that there's variety of style there, because different regions and different cultures might even look at coinage a different way,
Awesome. I know, we've been kind of playing this game for a bit with Legion's Quest, and then we also did some testing with the Mythic Legion role-playing game. And on both of those, without really like talking about it, like we didn't say, hey, we should make our characters or anything. Like we just all did that without even really talking about it. It was just something that as we got into it, each one of us would like started making our own character without even, we all had the same idea at the same time and we wanted to bring our character to life. I think that adds a whole different level to this as well. I don't know. I mean, you guys, you and Jesse have been playing this for a while. Like how cool is that to be able to like have an articulated version of your character?
Go ahead.
I mean, I know, Joe, I don't know if you've made a custom as the DM, that's just making yourself, but
no.
I know for me, when I got into Mythic Legions, I had already been playing D&D for so long, and that was one of the first things I saw. I was like, oh, I can make my character from the game. Now, my main character from the game I was playing at the time was a halfling, so there's not really parts I could use, so I ended up making them out of Star Wars. But because I started customizing Legions, I was able to, and now doing that with Cam, and then the character from the playtest that we did, it has just been really fun. It's been fun seeing people's reaction to him at the different show. Well, specifically at Legions Con. And I know they had my skeleton on the table that Pat Boyle and the guys did like a Mythic Encounter at ZoloCon with like Anthony and his son and stuff. So having that skeleton there was just cool that it was part of the showing off how the Mythic Encounter worked. That the character from our playtest campaign was there. So in a way, I mean, it was my figure, but it was, in my mind, it was representing all of us a bit. So it was just cool that you can, and we got to play it live when we got to do the Mythic Encounter at Legions Con. I know someone because my character got knocked out. So I was like, oh, don't take a picture of him knocked out. And someone, of course, snapped pictures of him knocked out because, that's just part of the game. But it was just cool to have that and it not just be like a little plastic mini, which I love, but like getting that different level of experience. Like it made it's not like, it wasn't like watching, what was that monkey that was going around with the stuff and Punch? It wasn't like that kind of sad, but like it kind of hit a little different than just your little plastic figurine with the round base. Cause like, it's like, oh, there's the character I spent hours customizing. And he's unconscious now and, he might die for good, in this thing. So it's like zooming and getting to be a little closer. So I have my D&D based characters on my shelf right here. They're one of the ones that are within sight when I'm doing my shows and stuff. So that's really special and really important to me.
Joe or Bill, thoughts on that?
You want to go, Bill? I'm probably going to talk for a minute on this. So,
I mean, I can just kind of reiterate. It's, I did play back in my college days, so a long time ago, and then playing this was like the first time. So I'm just trying to put myself back then, right? And it was just miniatures, and yeah, I mean, it would have been cool to, on any level, like no matter the size or the scale or whatever, to be able to kind of like design your character, roll up your character and like create the personality and create everything about it and the look, and then be able to like, easily find parts that you can customize to turn it into that figure. And then, so even beyond using it on the play, on the map or on, in game, like just having it to look at or share with people. And I could even see in the Cabal, like I could see people like almost like I could foresee like a trend where even if you're not necessarily playing at the moment or something, like rolling up a character, designing a character, sharing your character sheet and your custom figure like with it, like almost like this addition to customizing a figure, now being able to like kind of design stats and like kind of like the whole in world stats of the character.
Joe.
Yeah, I just was looking something up really quick here. Oh, okay. I think this is amazing. Now, I've been running games for a long time, and especially as you get higher levels and characters have more abilities and things that they can do on their rounds, that other players tend to get a little distracted. You know, you're waiting for the wizard to take his turn, and you know, he's summoning creatures or casting spells that have areas of effect, so he's doing damage to 6 different creatures that need to be resolved and things like that all at once. And, you know, I've had players doodle on the edge of their characters, or, you know, get on their phones and things like that. And one thing I noticed when we were playing live at Legions Con, you guys had a hard time leaving your characters alone, your actual custom characters, always changing the way the stance that they're in, or, you know,
especially in between turns while somebody else is like making decisions and stuff. Yeah,
that's exactly what I'm talking about, you know. And for me, I think that really adds to engagement, you know, that you're not, you know, not saying that you guys do, but I've had players that'll, you know, check Facebook or Instagram when it's not their turn. And it's like, you know, then when it's their turn, they're like, oh, you know, what's happening? And then we got to have like a recap of what happened 2 minutes ago. So anything that increases engagement, I'm all for it. And I feel like having the customs now, having played, you know, multiple characters to 20th level, those characters end up becoming almost a part of you if the games keep going like that, where you know, you're kind of living a fantasy life through your characters, and you have like kind of a unique connection with them. And I don't think that ever before in role playing have you had the opportunity to have such a unique representation of your character. Even if you paid someone to, you know, draw a picture of your character, for example, because I've known people that have done that before, or get miniatures off of a website, you know, that are specifically designed. In both cases, they're a static pose. If you get new equipment or gear, you know, you have to order a new mini or pay for the art. You know, again, we're in this. I feel like Joe Suter's going to be really busy when somebody's like, oh, he's selling just the breastplate. Well, I just got a new breastplate that looks just like that, or, you know what I mean? So people might even be getting more into like those part swaps, you know, at some of the different cons might even become more popular as people are looking for representations of like the new gear that they got, or, you know, some 3D printed weapons that fit something that their character got that isn't even represented in the line. I think that there's going to be a lot more engagement with your character and a lot more connection with your character, because you're going to have these awesome representations of them that have never been available before. So for me, I think this is a really exciting part of the game. And just having a representation of your character sitting in front of you, it's not always just the maps either. Just, you know, looking at your character and remembering what gear you have. If you know, buy 30 feet of hemp rope and then put a little coil of rope hanging from your character's belt, you're going to be more likely to remember it than going, oh, that's right, we just scaled the cliff and fell and took damage and I had rope. You know, you might look at your character and go, wait, I've got rope, I can see it on my character. So, you know, things like that I think are going to be a lot of fun.
Sure. When I got into customizing, one of the things I really fell in love with was God's Fire from Wolf King Customs. And the reason that is that they had stories for all these characters. And I loved the idea of trying to bring those characters to life with elements from the story, like little tidbits, right? So it's not just, you know, this is the type of character, this is like their race, and this is what they do, but the little individual details that make up their personality or who they are, right? So like when we got to this and I started making my character like Graddock, who's, you know, we were just looking at, you know, when I made my character, part of the story, if you've been following along, is, you know, we had captured a bandit, we killed everybody else in the group, and we captured a bandit, and you know, I cut his hand off, and then Nate tied a rope around his hand and made me wear it. and it became like this, like almost like a sense of pride, right? Like I didn't understand that it was supposed to be like a shaming thing. And so that became part of that character. So my custom has a hand hanging from a rope from his neck. And, you know, as we went along, we got a donkey, and my character became attached to the donkey and would go off and find apples and feed apples to the donkey. So my character is holding an apple, and I sculpted an apple to put in his hand and stuff. So it's like those little details. It's not just, hey, this is an orc who's a barbarian, but it's like, what are all those other things that make up that character and who they are? You know, those little details that really make it unique from every other kind of half orc barbarian. Those are the things that I think are cool that you can do with this stuff. So
yes, absolutely agree with that. Like I say, you get like a weird connection to characters. You know, my first high level character was an elf named Elvrin Licktalon, and to this day, like I haven't ran the character in over 20 years, haven't played the character, but you know, I still, there's a special place, you know, for in my heart for that character, just because we went on so many adventures together. So yeah, it's definitely an interesting dichotomy, the way that all works out, for sure. For sure. Can I answer Alan's question really quick?
Sure. I didn't see a question from Alan, but you can answer whatever you want.
Oh, I thought somebody started.
Oh,
here I know. I started one from Trevor as well.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. What is Joe's least favorite class to DM? This is I love this question because it's actually my least and most favorite. Because when it comes to role playing, I'm a bit of a masochist, and I like things to be difficult for me. But this is easily a wizard, a high level wizard. High level wizards can do so much, just DPS and utility and crowd control and support, and they just have so much variety of what they can do that they're hard to prepare for when you're planning encounters. And I enjoy that. You know, as a game master, I like to be surprised too. I love it when players maybe do something that I don't expect, and you know, kind of pull it out of their hat, we'll say. And you know, when the chips are down and something that I don't expect happens, it's a lot of fun for me. So by far, I think for me, it's definitely the wizard, just because they're the hardest to prepare for, but also the most fun to prepare for.
Very cool. And then, yeah, there was one from Trevor earlier here.
That's the way that I generally do it. I know there's different rules in play. I'm trying to think of what the official 5e rule on cover is, if it assigns armor class or gives a mischance. I don't remember what the official rules are, but generally, like if you duck behind a table, I'm probably going to give you a +2 bonus to AC, just to make it, you know, easy to keep track of and resolve, you know. So
half cover gives you +2 AC. 3/4 gives you +5 AC and dex saves. Total cover, you cannot be targeted.
There you go. So,
all right.
I don't know, Trevor. You did a pretty good job of that yourself, buddy.
Well, I did say a high level wizard. I mean, we're good. Yeah, in a year, you're only going to be maybe level 8.
So he'll kill you off in 3 years.
Yeah. When we get to,
but he said he hates it and loves it. It's a love-hate. So
it is a love-hate. I never intentionally have killed Trevor's character. It just sort of seems to happen. It was never by design, Trevor, I promise. But when you're a wizard, which is a very weak class anyways, and then you take below average constitution score, so you have even lower hit points than normal, things happen. You can't soak as much damage. So there's some more advice. If you're playing a wizard or another character class that doesn't have very good hit points, consider taking a higher constitution score so that you get more hit points per level based off of your con score. just a thought.
Okay. What else? I know, there was some stuff we were going to show on the computer and that was kind of having some problems because of the lag, but anything else that you think would be beneficial to folks that are kind of getting into this and trying to put a group together from any of you guys, not just you, Joe, but anybody that tips for
my advice together? My big advice is just to get together and do it. It's not always, and of course everybody else can have their opinions too. This is just my specific thoughts, but I know when I started playing, it was me and my friends. We were all around 15 years old when we started playing. We were playing with older guys that had been playing since first edition. We didn't 100% like their style of playing. They taught us how the rules worked and things like that. But, those games tended to have more of a board game feel to it, where, you're just trying to survive and get through the board game. And we want to do more role playing in ours, where we could tell these more detailed, intricate stories. So we had a basic idea of what to do, but when we broke off and started playing on our own, we would have to stop sometimes and look up rules. It was second edition too, which was a lot more complex than the current. Fifth edition is pretty simplified. We would stop and look up rules and have arguments and about how something would happen and things like that, and that was totally okay. We ended up having just a ton of fun figuring it out. So don't be afraid to just get together with a group of people and give it a try. You don't have to be an expert. You don't have to be a professional voice actor to do voices. Sometimes it's just fun to make up funny little accents and things like that. I know with me personally, I'm sure people that watch the whole series of Allegiance Quest say, has that guy's accent changed over the course? And the answer is probably yes. So, it's just one of those things where you're getting together with the number one rule of RPGs is to have fun. You're just getting together to have fun. You don't have to be an expert to have fun. Just get together with your friends.
Also, the old Mythosian proverb. How do I say that out loud with children watching?
You started
flap
strong.
Around and find out.
Right.
like with your characters and with people at the table. Like the first people that played D&D didn't know what they were doing.
Right.
Or the first time the person that made it put it in front of someone, like they didn't, like there was no other real reference for that. And, it just sit down, figure it out and have fun. And rule number 1, have fun. Rule number 2, futz around and find out. How's that? Futz. Yeah. That's better.
Play around, mess around. You ain't going to be around. All right, Bill, what about you?
I like J-Mac's comment here, the fake it till we make it. Absolutely.
Yeah. Any advice, Bill, on folks that haven't done this before that are, thinking about putting together a group either before the role-playing game comes out or when it comes out?
If you're looking for a group, join the Nat 20 Mythic Adventures Facebook group. And whether you're trying to find people in your area to meet up with in person, or if you're trying to find people who want to get together online, like that's going to be a good place because, flock around. That's going to be a good place to be because that's kind of like one of its core purposes is to like just get as many people who are interested in this game together to like to find out like who's in their area or whatever. And right. Then the other thing is like Joe was saying, it's like you kind of like there's no point where you're all of a sudden, oh yeah, I figured this out. Or like, you pick up, like I was saying before, like pick up a player's handbook and just kind of read through it. You're not going to learn how to play by just reading that book. And you're not going to learn how to play by just reading the Horseman book, right? The core rule book. But you're going to explore and just kind of expose yourself to a lot of the different elements and the things. It's like, okay, there's a chapter about building a character, there's a chapter about different types of classes, then there's a chapter about equipment, and just kind of like getting a lay of the land and understanding like what the abilities are and how they kind of like influence the other parts, and just kind of like fumbling around with it, and just kind of reading, and like Joe said, getting together with like your group, and trying to figure it out together a little bit. Watch some videos. You talk about watching people play. There's plenty of videos also of just all different types of tips and help for learning how to play too on YouTube and whatnot. So yeah, it's a messy thing,
Oh yeah.
If I can throw on there, one thing I would recommend people watch if you want to see, I think is a really good example. Now, again, most people that do this are not professionals. They have not been doing this for over 10 years, like the cast of Critical Role. But the episode 1 of season or campaign 3 is a really fun way, the way they introduce their characters, because some of the characters know each other as they're coming in and they all come together. I think that's a really interesting way for that style that they're telling. I think that's a really fun way to, again, they're professionals, trained actors and voice actors and stuff. So, don't expect to be on that level. But I think that's a really fun episode. It was the easiest way I thought of any of their campaigns to get to know the characters as a watcher. And it's a lot easier than season 4 or campaign 4's introductory episode we tried to watch. And that was dense. Like that was like jumping in the middle of like a 20-year, like George R.R. Martin story that had been going on for decades. But campaign 3 has a good setup. Sorry.
Yeah. And that's, again, different styles for different GMs. I like player characters to know each other before the game starts, because it gets rid of some of that awkwardness. I feel like, well, the 4 of you just meet up at the bar, that has an overlying awkwardness to it. I know I've done before where, if the Legion's Quest game started with everyone is in a guild together. So you might not know each other. You didn't grow up together, but you're familiar with each other because you've been training to be adventurers together. I've done games where you're a group of orphans that grew up in a town together. You actually grew up together, so, that's something I like to do. It's not necessary. It kind of depends on your players and your style, but that's something that I like to do is have it where the characters kind of know each other in advance. So that way you don't have to have that awkward, do I trust these people, area. And I don't have to teach them the hard way to trust each other.
It kind of like establishes parameters a little bit, which can be good because it's a guidance for how you role play. Whereas if it's just like this kind of wide open, free thing, it can be a little fuzzy and foggy, and you don't really know what the whole connections in the story are, and you have to kind of build them on the fly. But like if you have these kind of like parameters set up in certain ways that like not rails exactly, but like just kind of like these boundaries that help guide your role playing, I think is helpful.
It's a very popular thing with modern role playing to have what's called a session 0, where everybody gets together before the game is played and talk about their characters and what their expectations are for the game and things like that. And I'm kind of old school, so I haven't done a lot of that, but as I've gotten into it here in the more modern times, it can be really useful. Hey, this is the character I made up and this is what I want to do with them, or this is the type of character I want it to be. And if you're trying to tell a story, the more you know about the characters, especially if someone wants to be, a rogue or maybe not so good aligned character, you can work out some of those details like, okay, well, you're not a nice person. What what is going to be your motivation to stick with a party of good aligned character? You know what I mean? Because you're, again, telling a story. You're all on the same team. You can't have one person going, well, I'm not going to hang out with these guys because they're good. And, you know, it's not going to make for a very interesting adventure if one person is always not with the rest. So a session 0, and you can probably look that up on YouTube and watch videos from people that are a lot better at it than I am. But the session 0 can be very useful too, just so that the GM can and the players can get to know each other and their characters.
Beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about this, Joe?
You know, that can be a problem. I've seen that before. I won't name any names in case my friends ever watch this, but I had one very good friend of mine who had been a friend of mine for a very long time. I started role playing with him, who was very vindictive. And another player's girlfriend was playing a rogue and she stole from him. And he's like, I'm going to get her back. And we're like, dude, like, just let it go. Like, it was a few gold pieces. Don't worry about it. And he's like, no, I'm going to get her back. Well, it ended up being a huge distraction throughout the game where she wasn't worried about it, but all the rest of us were worried about when this revenge was going to come, and it ended up being a huge distraction, and we ended up having to sit down and have a talk about it, So depending on your players, yes, if the rogue steals from the party, he's making a mistake. And those are the kind of things. Okay. That, you guys mind if I go off on another little Joe Things tangent? If you're playing a rogue, stealing is fine. Whenever I play rogue characters, I always think of it along the lines of, I'm a dirty little thief, but the player characters are my brothers and sisters. I would never do that to them. And that way you can be, however corrupt you want to be with the GM should be okay with that. If you're stealing from, vendors and, pickpocketing innocent people off the street, that's one thing for the GM to have to deal with it. But if a player character is saving up because they want a particular piece of armor or a weapon or something like that, the rogue shouldn't be taking things from player characters, because that can put those speed bumps into the game. Same thing with playing a paladin. I've seen a lot of people in it. A lot of people know paladins are my favorite class to play in Dungeons and Dragons. I've heard a lot of people call them lawful stupid because they're righteous, and they don't like the idea that, a character might thieve or do anything that isn't morally upstanding. But we're also playing a game. And, I know a game that I played in where I was playing a dragonborn paladin. My son was playing a rogue, or he was playing a bard, and a friend of mine was playing a rogue. And I would just conveniently, my paladin wouldn't be paying attention when they were getting into their antics, And instead of me trying to say, well, my paladin wouldn't let that happen, so I'm going to try to put a stop for it, and ending their, trying to disrupt their fun, my paladin would be just like, wow, it's a really nice starry night. I'm going to go for a walk, just so that they could get up to their shenanigans and have fun playing the game, And they had the same respect that when my paladin was with them and maybe we were at, the guard tower or wherever, that they're not going to act like fools, to upset my character. So, you're still playing a game. Just because your character wouldn't be okay with something happening doesn't mean you as a character can't have your character, or as a player can't have your character turn a blind eye while other people are getting up to shenanigans and just having fun. Because that's the point of the game, is to have fun. So, yeah, absolutely. Can't be a paladin without being a pal. I feel like that with every class that I've ran, which is almost all of them, I think. I always try to be a good pal, because I want everybody to have a good time.
Unless you're the GM and then you try to make our lives hell.
I'm having fun.
No, he just has our characters go to hell.
That's true.
Right.
Literally.
That was fun. I had a really good time with that part. So
That was
Especially
fun.
that one spot that we found that was just really cozy for hell.
Yeah.
Surprisingly.
You guys really needed a place to rest.
Yeah, we found the one cozy spot there.
Yep.
Very cool.
All right. Any questions in the chat? If anybody's got any questions or want to know our thoughts on anything, now's the time.
And once again, while we wait to see if you guys have any questions, if you are tuning in over on the Let's Go Off-World channel, please pop over to the new Legion's Quest channel and give us a subscribe, because our next episode that we do, an actual session, will be over there on that channel. So and all the rest of them going forward will be there. So but yeah, if you have any questions, throw that out there and we'll try to get to those.
Absolutely.
Anything else from you guys on the Kickstarter that you want to share or talk about?
I just think that everybody should get in on it. If there's any expectation that you might at some point play the game, grab the core rule book. That way, if you're a DM, if you're a player, you've got everything that you need in that core rule book to be able to be a part of it. And so that would be my one. If you weren't going to do anything else, grab a core rule book. So that way you're always going to be able to jump in with other people and have a good time.
All right. Let's see.
I do have one other thing to add.
Yeah.
And Patrick Boyle just beat me to it. Yeah, the CarverCon community project, we got to announce that, or Brian got to announce that on Shooting the Shelf last night. He's got posts on the CarverCon Instagram page. I think he posted it in the Cabal and the Nat 20 group. You make 3 different rolls, 2 D10s and a D20, and you pick your and the numbers are associated with each one. So it's what is it? Species, faction, and your profession. So all aligned with what we know about the Mythic Legions, the role-playing game so far. And to customize a figure based on what you come up with on that. So I got a Congregation of Necronominus Jagualian Cleric is my
Interesting.
My build to make. Yeah.
I'm not going to CarverCon, but I just rolled it just to see what I got, and I got a human barbarian in Zylona's flock.
Nice.
You say human barbarian in Zylona's flock?
Yeah.
Cool. You should do it anyway.
Yeah, man.
I got
and post it. We do like the pop and swap contest.
Right.
I got a demon in Leodicius, which I'm not sure how that works. That's also a Beastmaster. So
there was this cool.
Interesting.
So this isn't the game, everybody. This is just a game I played in the past. There was an RPG by Palladium Books called Ninjas and Super Spies, and they had an Asian supplement for it. And one of the characters that you could play was a reformed demon. And the demon wanted to be more human. That was like their goal in life. So you actually started out really powerful with demonic powers. And then as you leveled up, you became more human and actually got weaker physically, even though you gained like class levels. I thought that was really fun because when you were low level and more physically powerful, it was hard not to abuse it, but it was fun to role play because you're like, no, I'm trying to be human, keep this under control. And then as you gained levels, you became more human, so you were physically weaker. And I don't know, I thought that was super fun to role play. So that might be something fun to role play with Leodicius if demons are ever added to, well, when demons are added to the RPG in the future. Maybe you're trying to reform and you want to be a good guy demon. That could be fun.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
There was another one here. have you covered what's the best brand of napkins to write your campaigns on?
So the napkin thing is a joke that was started by Curtis. I don't actually use a napkin, though I have written notes on napkins before. For this particular game, I just have this nifty little notepad. It says Stenopad. And the entire Legion's Quest, the like 2 years we've been playing so far, this is all my notes. This is a style thing. Some GMs will sit down and detail everything out and like to be really prepared. I've found for myself personally that because of the way that my brain works, there's no right or wrong way to do it. Just what way is best for you. For my brain, I'm more creative on the fly. So I'll make like bullet points of what I want to do. And then I just kind of off the cuff the rest, because I feel like that's where my best ideas come from, is when I'm put on the spot. Because for me, you never know what your players are going to do. Like, for example, you might just want a mailman to deliver a letter to a half orc, and it's a really simple thing. And then all of a sudden, two of the player characters molest the mailman on the steps of a cathedral.
There was no molestation, and it was not on the steps of the cathedral.
Not literal molestation, but then different players ended up with the letter I wanted delivered, and if I had over prepared for that, I felt like I feel like I wouldn't have been able to roll with it as well. So those are one of those things for my own personal style. I like to just kind of throw some bullet points, some hot points out there just to see what the players do, and then just kind of roll with it. But if it's your style to be more prepared, buy a whole package of napkins, and definitely take notes to remember the names of towns, of NPCs. Don't count on any one person. We love that Jesse takes notes, but if there's ever a time that Jesse can't play, we'll have no idea what's going on, and that is a terrible way to live. So everybody should take at least.
Wait, so we'll cancel the show if one of our players can't make it, and then the other one's like, well, I can't make it either, and we'll just do this dungeon crawl. But if I miss it, you're gonna play without me?
I didn't mean a Legion's Quest, Jesse. I just meant as an example for other people. If we weren't playing on the internet.
Okay.
Yeah.
We had this one from Mini Pete asking what your availability is to run games for the rest of us.
Well, Pete, unfortunately, it is not great availability. I'm actually very, very busy. I'm always available for advice. If anybody has questions or, something that they'd want to ask, I'm more than happy to answer questions. Shoot me a message. As far as running campaigns for people, yeah, probably not. Yeah. But I very much appreciate that people like my games enough that they would even want me to run a game for them. That is super flattering. Thank you. There's no way I could run games for everybody who wanted me to. It's just not physically possible.
Kirby wants to know, because of your NDA, can you not tell them about the goblins that are in the game?
There are goblins in the game. Cameron has said there's goblins in the game. And we cannot tell you about them, but they're there.
Let's see. And Alan says Google Docs are saving him on notes. So
yeah. There's some people that do that too. I type very, very slowly.
That's what I use.
Yeah. I type super slow. There's no way I could keep up with a game session trying to type notes, but
very cool.
But yeah, I think that's a great idea.
Awesome. Anything else, guys, that you want to share with the group?
The only other thing about the campaign is like not gaming related, but it's like I don't think enough people realize like this is the reinforcements, right? Like, maybe they'll do another reinforcements wave, but like this is a builder wave of figures, and this is $30. I don't think people appreciate that enough or are talking about it enough. Like,
right,
how good a deal this is, especially in the current like situation where you go to a con or even online now, unless you're pre-ordering direct, everything's 50 or 55 now. Like it used to be, you could go to a con and get $37 figures. Like that's not happening anymore. So like this is the opportunity that people want. Like down the road when these are 35, 40, whatever they're going to be, like people will look back and be like, damn, I should have bought more. Cause you go, you add 5 $35 figures and, or let's say 6, you're going to buy 6 $35 figures. You could have bought 7 in the campaign. So I think that's one of those things that people aren't talking about enough.
Since reinforcements, we had the deluxe Legion builders, and we had a couple reinforcements. Like for the last few years, whenever there's like really cheap Legions figures, that's when I load up. Like the named figures are great, and I do get them. I'm all in on every wave from the Horsemen. But when I'm ordering extras, it's when the figures are cheap, and this is the cheapest you're going to get them. Like this is the best price that you're going to get on figures, especially these ones that have full paint apps. Like these aren't, unpainted Legion builders that you kind of have to put in some effort to make them look good. Like these look great as is, and they're $30. You're not going to get a better deal than that.
I'll take 2 paladins, 2 of the basic $30 paladins over the single deluxe paladin any day.
Like, oh
yeah.
It's the same armor. It's the same arms and legs. It's the exact same paint job on the armor and stuff. Like, it is such a good deal.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. And they're a representation of 8 of the professions, but there's more professions than that. So loading up on the extra characters. So if that's not the only professions you want represented on your shelf is a great idea too. For $30, why not?
What's Trevor going on about?
He made a joke.
Oh,
and I didn't see it up here. We were talking about that one heavenly spot in hell, and he said, I already rated that hell spot on Airbnb.
Oh, okay. That's pretty good. Yeah, that's pretty
good.
And then
I didn't see that. He's like, come on, the Airbnb thing, is this on?
I didn't catch that, but now it makes sense.
Yeah. Yes. That was definitely a high rated Airbnb for sure.
Yeah,
for sure.
That's a good joke. It just went over my head. So
yeah, I missed it.
All right. Well, hopefully we will be back in a couple weeks. And with an actual session. And if not, if we can't do an actual session, we'll be back and talk some more about role-playing games. Maybe
I see William Houston says, is there research you would recommend for magic wielders? I guess watching YouTube videos on that, the best thing you can do as a magic wielder is read your spells. Every class of magic wielder is going to have their own unique spell list. Take the time to look at the spell list and read the spells that they can do and what the spells do, and that'll get you at least some good groundwork. For example, if you're a weaker physical wizard in your first level, you might think about taking something like Thunder Wave because it pushes enemies away from you. So if anybody gets up close to you unexpectedly, you have a chance of shoving them away so that you can run and hide, which is what Trevor's recommendation was: research hiding places. So yeah, that would be my main thing, is just read your spells, read how your spell economy works, so that way you know how many spells you can cast before you got to jump into behind a rock and hide for the rest of the encounter. So.
Awesome.
All righty.
Well, thank you everybody for watching. Thank you. Let's see if I can get a subscriber count on the channel. Let's see. We are at up to 91.
I got 91.
Nice.
Wow.
Yeah,
well, thanks, everybody. Yeah.
So, yeah. Thanks a lot.
Oh, wow.
Folks.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. And this is the channel that will, so hit that little bell button too, because that's how you'll get notified next time that we're on. But hopefully it'll be 2 weeks from today. So,
yep.
Awesome.
Or anytime in between that. We'll see. We don't like to nail ourselves down, but we'll try to get back to you guys soon. So,
absolutely.
Thanks. Okay, so outro.
Sure. Yeah. Unless you got something else.
Are we good? Everybody good?
We good?
All right.
We're good.
Well, thanks for watching, everybody. And we'll see you next time on the next episode of Allegiance Quest.
That went pretty well.
I've seen worse.
You think they noticed that we didn't really have anything to discuss?
Nah, there's no way.
Yeah, I think you covered it well.
Oh, yeah, definitely.